Um, okay, everybody's muted. That's good, just because we get pick up noises from. But if you need to unmute yourself, feel free. We're working our way through a syllabus, and if you wish to have the syllabus, put your email into chat. In fact, there already are a couple of chat messages. Okay, 5, 8. And if you put your email in the chat, I'll be happy to send you the syllabus we're working through. We're almost finished with it. We have one more week of this syllabus, and then there'll be a new one. After next week, I'll be sending out a new syllabus for those of you who wish it. And so tonight, the reading is based on a couple of chapters from a book called The Path is the Goal by Chogyam Trungpa. And it's called A Basic Handbook of Buddhist Meditation. Just see if both, I think both chapters, yeah, both chapters are from that book. And the subject really is vipashyana meditation. And I'm going to start with kind of a look at the whole spectrum of Buddhist meditation. In Buddhism, especially Vajrayana Tantric Buddhism from Tibet, there are two main divisions between what's called the path of means and the path of wisdom. The path of wisdom involves the kind of meditation practice that we're doing now, that we did tonight, and that I'm going to be talking about. The path of means is something that's only available to you after you've gotten further in, and it involves yogic practices, which are very different from Hindu yoga, and they're much more advanced in the Buddhist spectrum. And you don't have to do them at all. They're just, it's an alternative pathway. But they involve things like the raising of inner heat and dream yoga and all kinds of things. We're not doing that. We're working on the wisdom path, which is the path of meditation. And that can take you all the way through to the most advanced teachings, which in the Nyingma and Kagyu sect are called the Great Perfection teachings, Dzogchen, Great Perfection, also called Mahā'ati in Sanskrit. And really this practice stays the same. What happens is it deepens the practice. The way in which you understand who you are and what the world is changes. But the basic practice that I'm going to talk about tonight, and that we just did, doesn't change. It's this constant deepening, constant coming present, more and more. Now, in Buddhism, there are two main strains of meditation practice. What's called in the Sanskrit shamatha and vipashyana. You may be familiar if you've meditated in a Theravada Buddhist, a Ceylonese Buddhist setting with people like Jack Kornfield, Joe Goldstein, Sharon Salzberg. You may be familiar with the term vipassana. Vipassana is the Pali word, and in this tradition we use the Sanskrit, which is very close. It's vipashyana, means they're identical, they're just pronounced slightly differently. Shamatha also has a Ceylonese, a Pali pronunciation, because what happened was that Buddhism went to Ceylon. The Buddha lived in about the 5th to 4th centuries AD, and after his death, Buddhism kept evolving in India, and it went to Ceylon in about the 3rd century BC, BC. Buddha lived in BC times, before the Christian era. And so the Buddhism that went to Ceylon happened then. Buddhism went to Tibet much later, in about the 7th century AD. So about almost 1,000 years after it went to Ceylon. And meanwhile, it had been evolving in India all those years. And the Tibetans got the kind of the 7th through the 11th century Indian version of Buddhism. Now, the two main practices, shamatha and vipassana. If you've practiced meditation in a yoga studio, for instance, Basically, it's shamatha. If you've done transcendental meditation, you have practiced shamatha. If you have practiced in a Buddhist setting where you've been taught to close your eyes, because this is shamatha, and focus one-pointedly on an object of meditation, I don't care what the object is, could be anything. Could be your breath. More likely, it might be a mantra, as in TM, Transcendental Meditation. It could be on an image, a little statue of the Buddha. Could be anything. Could be your thumbnail. But you focus your mind one-pointedly on that object. Could be and most likely with your eyes closed. If it's an image, you're probably visualizing it, but you can do it with your eyes open too. But many people have experienced it with their eyes closed, and they have watched their breath very closely. This is the Buddhist version of shamatha. You work with the breath coming in and going out, and you count it, perhaps. You can. The breath would come in, you could feel it coming in, going down into your lungs, then you expel it through your nostrils again, or through your lips, as you prefer. It goes out, and you count 1. And you might count up to 7, and then start over. Or you might not be counting. You may just be simply aware of the breath coming in and out. Your eyes are closed, and when you find yourself thinking, you bring yourself back to the breath. This is shamatha practice. It's also called mindfulness practice. Why? Because we are bringing our mind back from thought, from dream, to something that is happening in the present moment, the breath, a mantra, if it's transcendental meditation, whatever it might be. This is the basic principle of shamatha, concentration, concentrating the mind one-pointedly on an object in the present. It has 3 main virtues. First of all, when you begin to practice shamatha, and this is beginning practice for a Buddhist, when you begin to practice shamatha, you begin to see, perhaps for the first time, how much we spend our lives lost in dreams, in thoughts of all kinds, every kind. Many people walk down the street and they don't even realize the extent to which they're dreaming. And we could say that even of ourselves, even if we've been meditating for a long time. We constantly catch ourselves lost in dreams as we walk down the streets, the activities of our lives, and then we come back. Shamatha has that virtue of showing you to what extent you are lost in monkey mind, in the uncontrollable production of thoughts and emotions. That's the first virtue of this first style of meditation. The second virtue is that you learn how to come back from dream to awareness. It's a skill, it's a strength, you might say, like building a muscle that you develop. The ability to see that you're thinking and then come back to awareness in the present moment, to wake up from the dream. Sometimes we get so lost in dream, we're completely almost incommunicado. Somebody might come up to you and call your name and you wouldn't hear them because you're so lost in some anxious thought, perhaps, worrying about the rent or what somebody said to you or who knows what. So dreams are very powerful. They take us out of the present, away from our lives into a dream state of thought. Shamatha is the constant practice of coming back. That's the second virtue, that we develop that skill. The third virtue is you get a rest. One teacher I know said it's like having a really good nap, shamatha, because thought is very fraught with anxiety of all kinds, anxiousness. It's all about what's wrong with me, what's wrong with my world, what's wrong with the world. How am I going to make it better? How am I going to make it better for me? How am I going to adapt to it? How am I going to correct things in the future? Terrible things that happened in the past, I'm going to make them better in the future. So it's all about the past and the future, and it's all about change. It's all about struggle to make things better. And when we come back into the present moment, those thoughts, those anxious thoughts evaporate, and we get a rest. I have a friend, a very close friend, who has a mentally ill son. and it causes her tremendous distress. But when she meditates, she gets a rest from that stress of dealing with her mentally ill child, which is powerful. And this is shamatha. One teacher I heard speak a little while ago, a man named Changling Rinpoche, he's a wonderful teacher. He said, from a Buddhist perspective, shamatha really isn't meditation. It's not going to get you enlightened. It's really about just getting a little bit less neurotic. It's kind of like developing muscles, going to the gym, and building up your muscles. And the problem with it is that just like the muscles that you build up at the gym, if you stop doing shamatha, it evaporates. It disappears. Same with the muscles that you build, pumping iron at the gym. When you stop doing it, they all eventually disappear. Shamatha is a built-up skill. Also, shamatha is often done with the eyes closed so that you can better concentrate. This has two disadvantages over what kind of practice that comes next and what we're going to be talking about tonight. One is, with your eyes closed, you can't do it on the street. You can't do it while you're driving your car. You can't do it while you're walking down the sidewalk looking for Starbucks. You can have a serious accident if you walk down with your eyes closed. Even if you open your eyes, you're still concentrating on the breath. So it's not a good way to drive a car with your eyes open even, because your concentration is on the breath. You might not be aware of that car that's pulling out of that side street because you're so focused on something narrow. So shamatha has these disadvantages. It's not about becoming more aware of one's life. It's about calming the mind. In fact, the word shamatha means resting in peace. Peace is not the goal of shamatha. The goal of shamatha is learning to come back from dreams into awareness in the present moment, which we call mindfulness. But it's a byproduct, that kind of peace. And the name actually means abiding in peace. Same with the Tibetan word for it, which is shine. She means living in or abiding in, and she is peace, and ne means to live or dwell in. So this is shamatha. And I'm going into this because a lot of you, maybe a few of you, are still doing shamatha. Perhaps you're coming to this tonight from a shamatha practice that you've learned in another Buddhist setting, or perhaps in a yoga studio, and perhaps with transcendental meditation. And then everyone, I think, if you have, if you've been practicing for a while, you probably started with shamatha. So it has those three virtues. One, you become aware of how much your neurotic mind is thinking. Sort of what I call the AM radio is playing up here. Two is you develop mindfulness, the ability to come back from dream into the present moment. That's what shamatha is all about. And three is you get a rest. Because when you rest in the present moment, in awareness of something that's happening in the present moment, that sensation of the breath as it leaves your nostrils, there's no anxiety there. It's rest. Now, it's a good preparation to start with shamatha. And in fact, in the Buddhist tradition, everybody does start with shamatha. In different traditions, you might spend more or less time with it. In this tradition, you spend rather little with it. Once you get the general gist, we move on into what is called vipashyana meditation, or vipassana in the Pali tradition. Vipassana meditation is often translated as awareness meditation or insight meditation. And really the virtue of vipassana is that we are learning to come back and be more awake for our lives, for whatever they contain. And what they contain is always, in this present moment, what are called the six knowables. These are objects of the five senses: sights, sounds, smells, tastes, bodily sensations, and then Sight, sound, smells, taste, bodily sensations, that's 5. And then the 6th of the 6 nobles is mental events. All of these arise and pass away in the present moment. When we get lost in dream, we've lost our mindfulness, and we are no longer in the present moment, and we lose, in one degree or another, awareness of what is happening now. When you're really lost in dream, as I say, somebody could come up and stand right next to you and call your name, and you might not hear. I think we've all experienced that, being lost in some anxious thought. Vipassana is the constant practice of coming back from dream to awareness in the present moment. That doesn't mean that you reject the dream. If you reject dreams, if you say, dreams are terrible, I hate myself for having them, I'm a terrible meditator, I'm going to grade myself on a scale of 0 to 100 and give myself a 10 because I'm such a bad meditator, that's a big dream. You've gotten caught in the dream, it's like most dreams, of self-improvement. Even that one, you see that and let it go. The idea about dreaming is you can't smash it. You can't make it an enemy. If you do, you've got a new enemy, the new dream, the dream of attacking the enemy. So what you do is you just see it. You just bring it to awareness. It's a friend. You don't indulge it. You don't go back into it and roll around in it. It might be a dream, for instance, about revenge. You've been hurt. Somebody hurt your feelings, and you're going to get revenge. That's a good dream. And then you could roll around in that one for a while. As soon as you realize you're dreaming, you come back, at least during the process of meditation. You can go back to the plan for revenge later and flesh it out if you wish. But when you're meditating, you see it. And as soon as you see that you're dreaming, you're not anymore. That's the point. It's just like in the morning when you wake up and you realize that you were having a dream, a night dream. Well, you're not having it anymore. You're awake. Same thing with daydreams. As we sit on the meditation cushion, as we walk down the street, when you realize that you're dreaming, you're back. Nothing more to do. You see it. You might even be slightly curious about it. And then the problem is, if you are curious about it, it goes away very fast. Thoughts, once we bring them to any kind of awareness, evaporate. The term they use in the text is self-liberate. In the old analogy, they say, it's like, this is a funny metaphor. If you took a snake that was coiled up and threw it into the air, it would uncoil in space. That's what dreaming does. When you bring it to awareness, it uncoils in space. I think of it like this. I don't know, maybe if you have a Mac computer, an Apple computer, and if you do, there's the dock, which is on the edge of your screen somewhere, and it has all these icons in it for different programs, and you get the dock to show up, and you click on an icon, and that program opens up. But then if you don't want an object in the dock anymore, you take your cursor and you place it on that object, and you drag it out into the center of the screen and let go. And when you let go, that picture of that icon of the program goes poof, turns into a cloud. That's just what happens when we drag thoughts into the open screen of awareness and let go. They go poof, and they disappear. Unfortunately, we might like them to stay around longer, but they don't. But it's long enough. So these are the two main types of meditation. But I want to talk a bit more about vipashyana. This is really the subject of the reading for this week, for those of you who've done it. These 2 chapters, and they were really pretty terrific. The main thing is that what he says is when you sit and meditate, you're your own audience. You can play games with yourself, like Am I a good meditator or am I not good meditator? But those games are superfluous, and we wear them out. They fall away. And we find that every time we relax, we are relaxing back into awareness. That awareness, when it's vipassana, is environmental. It's panoramic. It includes this space that we're in. And in this space, it includes anything and everything that is arising and passing away in this present moment. It's utterly relaxed. You see, the thing is this: pure awareness is our nature. It's what we already are. What clouds it is self-doubt, the feeling that I have to do something, I have to improve myself, I have to make it better. And every time you let go of that, you come back into this space, this room, full of appearances arising and passing, objects of sight, sounds, smells, and tastes, and bodily sensations, and thoughts, and all of them. And you just come back so easily. It's effortless. This is a key. Write it down. Put it on your refrigerator. This kind of meditation is effortless. Truly effortless. The only place that effort occurs is when you realize I've been dreaming. That's it. You don't have to come back. You already are back. It's here all the time. It's what we are. It just gets overlaid by anxiety, by self-doubt, by a feeling of wishing that we have to accomplish something, that it's not good enough now. He says, mindfulness is being fully there. Where? Here, there. And awareness is a total sensing in awareness. All happenings are seen at once. It could be called panoramic vision. Sometimes it's called great awareness, mahavipashyana. It's panoramic. Panoramic is metaphorical. It's not literally like you're going to see in 360 degrees, but it kind of has that feeling of being very wide, spacious, filling the room, feeling just being one with the space, with the air. And in fact, they often say that awareness is one with the space. The two are indivisible. So the idea of I am aware of something, that's out the window. That's a distraction. That's sort of lapsing off into dream. You let go of that, and there's just this. It never stops. You don't turn it off. We're always aware of something. You guys are aware of your computer screens right now. It's like it's happening for you, happening for me, for all of us. All of this, the six knowables, effortlessly aware. The Vipassana experience does not proceed to the level of a game. See, there's this game quality to shamatha. The game is, how many breaths can I can I be aware of in a row before I lapse off into dream? You know, you sit there and you go, breath comes up, goes out, that's one. Breath comes up, goes out, that's two. Breath comes up, goes out, that's 19. Whoops! I forgot. I got all the way up to 19. See, as we make it into a game, you know, when you're counting the breath. There is no game in Vipassana. Vipassana is giving up game. It's just here. It's natural. It's completely ordinary, and yet. So he says, having a sense of the entire radiation, our thought process when we sit, you develop a sense of appreciation of the things around you, not one by one, but totally. It's like light radiating from a flame or a light bulb that expands outward. However, we find that this radiation has no radiator. Even the idea of somebody, a radiator, doesn't exist. There is a pure sense of openness. So there's no one doing this. It's just there. If you think, yeah, I'm doing this, that's extra. It's an add-on, it's a fiction. It's something that created in your mind, in the mind. It's not true. We're not doing it. It's just there. We just tune into it, come back to it. What does he say? Pardon the paper crinkles. Here's we could go on from here. This practice brings the understanding of one of the key concepts and most difficult concepts in Buddhism, egolessness. It's the assertion that Buddhism makes that what we call an I, me, doesn't have any true being. It's a fiction, like Mickey Mouse. It's a story in which the I, literally I, capital I, is the hero or the heroine. And the I only exists while the story is being told. And it doesn't really exist then, it's just part of the story. As soon as we stop telling that story, as soon as that story goes away, so does I. It's just silence. And then we got to say, yeah, but do I really understand something? And there's the I again. And we got the game going. The game of, do I really understand this? And it's a game of gaining some understanding. We let that go. And there's just this. This is vipashyana. This is awareness. And in that, there's no I. So you see, vipashyana brings us to the true experience of the absence of I. Usually, especially in the beginning, we see it in the rearview mirror. That is, that we look back and we say, oh, for a moment there, I was gone. The I wasn't sounding, wasn't resounding. And then we think, oh, I had a moment of egolessness. I did. That's a good one. And then you see that, and you come back, and you can be back in the present again. And when every time we come fully present, and then we could start checking ourselves, am I fully present? Well, you're not. It's whenever there's that feeling of accomplishment, of wanting to accomplish something, and of checking, and of grading, like how much of a grade am I going to give myself as a meditator? I'm going to give myself a 90%, a 95. Could I have 100? I. You let it go because it's already here. Anything that we add on to that is extraneous and a distraction. We're getting lost in the dream again. This is vipashyana. Vipashyana is the constant act of coming back into utter relaxation, effortless awareness that is already here. It is the foundation of what we are. It is part, there's a doctrine in Buddhism, I guess I can say this, it's a doctrine of that all beings are Buddhas. This is it. This is the way all beings are Buddhas. It's this fundamental awareness. And we say, yeah, but it's not quite enough. And there's we don't want to let go into it. We don't want to really accept it. We constantly, the ego wants to turn it into some kind of self-aggrandizement, some kind of achievement game, that we're going to get something more out of it. And when you do that, you are back in the realm of suffering. He says, unless there is no basic center, one cannot develop the vipassana experience. The basic center is that I that's constantly saying, am I doing it? Am I not doing it? What grade am I going to give myself for this? Am I getting anywhere with this? Do I even like it? I. That's a center. When we are truly in the vipassana experience, the center is gone. It's just this, all around us. And that is experiencing a sense of the environment, a sense of space, as the meditator practices. This is called awareness, as opposed to mindfulness. See, mindfulness is coming back from dream into something in the present moment, like the breath coming out of your nose. This is awareness because it's 360 degrees, figuratively speaking. Mindfulness is very detailed and direct, but awareness is something panoramic, open. You are aware not only of breathing, but also of the environment you have created around the breath. Now, when we do the thing of working with the breath going out into the space, we're combining shamatha and vipashyana. The breath goes out, it dissolves, and at the end, it's just completely gone. And that's vipashyana. Just that open space, centerless, no doer, no I. It's hard to describe the end there because really it's in the absence of I. The breath goes out, dissolves. Here we are. I dissolves with the breath. And then there's just this open space, panoramic, it's vipashyana. So this is combining shamatha and vipashyana. This is a practice that Trungpa Rinpoche gave to us to make it easier. We go out with the breath, that's shamatha. We're aware of the breath in this space, right? You're always aware of the space, the room. And the breath goes out like a line drawn on water, as an analogy. You know, when you draw a line with your finger on water, it's disappearing as it goes, right? The breath goes out into this space that we're in the middle of here, and it's disappearing as it goes. And at the end of the out-breath, it's completely gone into the space. This is the process of dissolving I, dissolving ego into reality. He says, once you are aware of the atmosphere, you begin to realize that thoughts are no big deal. Thoughts can just be allowed to diffuse into the atmosphere. You see the thought, and it just goes poof into the atmosphere. And then you're back. It's not even you who are back. There's just back. Awareness. This is interesting. He says, Vipassana is understanding the whole thing, right? The 360 degrees, an accommodator of all activities that are taking place. And it usually comes in the form of boredom. So when you're sitting there and you've got that mild sense of boredom, that's the Vipassana. That's sort of, you can locate it. The practitioner is looking for something to fill the gap, particularly in sitting Vipassana meditation, where the quality of non-happening becomes very boring. Then you might get agitated by the boredom, which is a way of filling it up with activities. We start to try and fill it up with daydreams. You might have a dream about sex or about revenge or whatever, eating. So, and then he talks about how this feeling of the space, the awareness of the space. You're sitting in the space of this room, and awareness brings about your relating with that particular experience. Sometimes this is spoken of in terms of light, luminosity, ursel in the Tibetan, a sense of clarity, the clarity of this space right now. Once you feel that basic all-pervasiveness, then there is nothing else but that. And this, oneself, is long forgotten. There's just this, that. He says, I'll just hit some highlights. This doesn't require effort. Quite the reverse. Effort obscures it. When we feel ourselves exerting effort, you let it go and you come back into this relaxed awareness. I'll tell you, at the highest levels of the path, this kind of awareness is called the lazy person's path to enlightenment. Isn't that neat? This is the lazy person's path because you just do less and less and less. And ultimately, you're doing nothing. And when you are doing nothing, there really is no you, no I anyhow. It requires no effort. Discipline is really just the effort to get yourself to do it, because we tend to get lost in dreams all the time, thinking, and we don't want to come back. And discipline is the act of bringing ourselves back. Again, I'm just repeating the same things. Openness and awareness, as I have explained many times before, openness and awareness is a state of not manufacturing anything else. It is just being. It is a misunderstanding to think that vipassana requires tremendous effort. One doesn't try to hold on to oneself. One doesn't try to painfully stick to it. Whenever there is a message of awareness, like you realize, I'm dreaming, you're already in it. There is the state, what he calls absent-mindedness and mindfulness at the same time. When he says absent-mindedness, he's meaning it in the sense it's absent of I, absent of that thinking mind about me. And that is the true mindfulness and awareness. So it's a question of commitment, which is also known as discipline. It's not a matter of joining a club, which is trivial and forgettable. This is actual commitment that requires constantly living in an awake way. It is a living memory rather than a past memory, because it's taking place now. The memory that you are going to develop awareness throughout your life. There are a lot of misunderstandings about this, which produce watching yourself, behaving as if you had a raw egg on top of your head, like you're trying to do it so hard. Really, this is all about learning how to relax into awake awareness. So that's it. That's all I'm going to say tonight. This is the practice. We're doing a shamatha vipassana combination in this group. At any time, everybody, you are welcome to let go of the breath, which is the shamatha aspect, and just rest in awareness of this space, this effortless, easy, open awareness of the space. The only reason we work with the breath, it's kind of a crutch. And we tend to lapse into dream a lot. And we use the breath as a reminder to bring ourselves back. We can see, oh yeah, I was having that fight with my mother in Poughkeepsie and I forgot all about the breath. Then you come back to the breath and you let go of the fight in Poughkeepsie. So it's a tool. But for true vipassana awareness, you have to let go of that. Just resting in this space. The thing is about the space is that it's so full of nothing and everything. It excites boredom. Boredom is this attempt to fill the space. And we attempt to fill it with dreams and thoughts. And we can get lost in them. So we use the breath sometimes to help sort of pull ourselves back. I think of it, it's like you're in a car and they've got these handles above the doors so you can use it, especially us older guys, to sort of jack ourselves out of the car. You grab the handle and it helps you get your legs out of the car, especially if it's in a really low slung car. That's what the breath is. It's sort of to help you get back into awareness. It's a tool. Once you're back in, you don't need it anymore. So we can have a discussion. Just unmute yourselves and raise your hand. You can raise a literal or a virtual hand. There you go, Joe. Unmute yourself. There you go.
Am I unmuted?
You're unmuted.
Okay. Yeah, I find I need to bring myself back to the breath a lot of times because it's almost monkey mind at times. Just thought after thought after thought after thought after thought. Or trying to concentrate, just trying to like focus on something out over there. It just sometimes isn't enough. There are times where I just get brief moments when I'm not doing the breath, where it's very brief. It just vanishes, of nothing, but then it goes away. You're aware of it when it goes away. I think I might have to start off again with doing the breath again, and taking it from there, see how it goes.
Well, keep allowing yourselves those moments of just open awareness.
Yeah.
And you see, what happens is when we first start this practice, our loyalty is to our thoughts. We really think it's important that I'm thinking about the rent, that I'm thinking about what that person said to me, that I'm thinking about my loneliness or my health or whatever it might be. It's important. And our loyalty, our allegiance is to these dramatic stories whose main function is to give I a job.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when we watch things on TV, you need the drama. You know, when you watch those series on Netflix or Amazon Prime, you need the drama. If there's no drama, it's boring. It's just open space. Vipashyana is open space. And the ego is all about drama. That's what keeps I alive. It's the story. So you just see it. What happens is that over time, you do this practice and your allegiance, you begin to shift your loyalty from the stories to awake in this moment. I mean, we don't want to go into our deaths dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bad way to go. It's as uncontrollable as the dreams we have at night. You know, worse, they say. And what you want to do is have your allegiance to this. Now, the thing about this is that it's centerless. It's not going in a particular direction. It has no purpose. This is centerless space. There's no top, there's no bottom, there's no front, there's no back. It's infinite. It's beginningless. Try to find the beginning of this. Beginningless time. The word for this space, the union of space and wisdom, they call it. The word for wisdom here is yeshe. That this space is lit. Yeshe means primordial knowingness. Primordial means no beginning, no end. You can't find it. So really, Jim Rinpoche used to say, when you begin to commit to the space, it's like jumping off a cliff into nowhere. Because there's no beginning and no end. But it's also what's real. And we're beginning to shift our allegiance from these painful fictions, which always lead us into traps, to awareness in this space of the present moment, which is wisdom, yeshe, primordial knowingness, Buddhahood, awake, always awake. Everything else is dream. Past and the future are just dreams. They're fictions, mental stories that we create in our minds, but we get lost in them.
I'm going to have to do a hybrid of both.
A hybrid of both.
Yeah.
The problem is, you think, I'm going to take the best of each. There is no best of the dreams. You know, these are samsara. And if you have a pleasant dream one day, if it's like he who lives by the sword dies by the sword, you know, if you put your trust in dreams, well, you got to take the bad with the good.
Yeah.
And one of the bad ones is aging, watching this body fall apart. I'm telling you because I'm doing it and you're doing it. And it only gets worse. That one.
I know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's really a matter of shifting our allegiance. The path, that's what happens on the path. If you keep practicing, the allegiance shifts all by itself, because one is dream and one is real. One is crazy and one is sane.
John,
Yeah. Who's
can I
speaking?
ask a question?
Sure.
Marie.
Marie.
When there is an acute depression or anxiety, do you find it's a better solution to meditate on shamatha, or do you think it's still possible to do vipassana when you have like a racing mind and like strong acute anxiety?
You can do vipassana every once in a while. I mean, excuse me, shamatha, you know, to try and quiet your mind and get some relief. Um, depression is interesting. It comes from self-attack. There's a thing, I could send you an essay, I think. It's very tantric. There's a concept called the Gyalgong in tantric Buddhism. Gyalgong literally means conqueror spirit. And it's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. It's an evil conqueror spirit. And it lives inside us as part of our ego. And it's sort of the ultimate manifestation of ego. You see, ego is always about making things better in one way or another. That's what ego is about, self-improvement. And whenever you've got self-improvement, you also have self-criticism. They're two sides of the same coin. So the very notion of self-improvement involves self-hatred. You can't try to improve yourself unless you think there's something wrong with you. And eventually what happens is you go back and forth. Some days you think, well, I'm getting somewhere, I'm getting a lot better, and you feel up. But then you can go into periods when you're just spiraling down and down into the other side, which is I'm getting worse and worse and worse. That's the Gyalgong. The Gyalgong is the spirit of self-attack. And its main symptom is depression. It involves hurting oneself in one way or another. You limit the way in which you can live. Ultimately, the end result of the Gyalgong, the ultimate victory of the Gyalgong, is suicide. Gets the person to kill themselves. And in Buddhism, the Gyalgong, the spirit of self-attack, is the ultimate enemy. It is the worst. Wisdom, which slays confusion, right? You know, the Bodhisattva of wisdom has this two-edged sword that he holds up, and it is the sword of wisdom. Now, when confusion gets really fierce, suffering and confusion, ignorance, then wisdom takes more and more wrathful forms. And that's when you start seeing these figures that have fangs and they're, you know, three rolling bloodshot eyes, and, you know, sparks are coming out of their hands and all that kind of stuff. And these are the wrathful aspects of wisdom. The most wrathful aspect of wisdom is one called Dorje Trollo. It means indestructible anger. And Dorje Trollo's job, you see, is to cut through, kill confusion. And his ultimate enemy, the enemy, is the Gyalgong, self-attack. It is the ultimate evil. When you attack yourselves, you're not there for others either. You can't be of benefit to other human beings, and you're harming yourself. So that self-attack is the worst enemy we've got. And the Gyalgong's job is, as they say in the texts, they don't say kill it. They say Dorje Trollo's job is to butcher the Gyalgong. I just love that he's going to butcher the Gyalgong, you know, because it's such a piece of terrible stuff. The Gyalgong, this self-attack, self-hatred. And its main first symptom is depression. So meditation, sure, you can do shamatha. If you get some relief from depression and self-attack through shamatha, go for it. If you could do shamatha vipashyana like we did tonight, you know, where you work with the breath going out into space, and then you're just here. And the thing is that we begin to realize that this space is really beautiful. It's warm, it's creative, it's full of life and light. And it's fundamentally worth being here for. There's a warmth to it. It contains all the things that we love and hate. It contains all the life.
Yeah.
And this is part of the teachings as well. In the Shambhala teachings, this is called basic fundamental wholesomeness of the phenomenal world as it arises in this present moment, that it's fundamentally beautiful and worth being here for.
Yeah, I've just noticed that when I have this racing mind, or like I'm like extremely excited about something, or I'm nervous too much, then I can't, like, I have a trouble doing vipashyana, but I find it easier to just
You've got a
do.
toolkit. Use it, as you see fit.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, in this toolkit, you've got pure shamatha, like
Mm-hmm.
counting the breaths. You've got shamatha vipassana, where you have an awareness of the environment and the breath going out into it. And there's pure vipassana, just resting in the space. So you have these three fundamental approaches. There are more, but those are the three most fundamental. You've got a toolbox.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Hi, Teresa.
Hi, John. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. So I thought I never sat or meditated with my eyes open, gaze down until I went to the Westchester Buddha Center. I found it really odd, too. I was like, why do you keep your eyes open? Now,
Hard to hear. A little louder.
okay, now if I put, can you hear me?
Yes?
Now, did you hear what I said before?
Yes, I
I
did.
said I didn't have my eyes open and gaze down until the Westchester Buddha Center. And now I find myself, if I close my eyes, that's when the thoughts come. I was like, oh, wow, that's pretty interesting.
That's
But
when
I don't know if it's a conditioning now or whatever it may be. But I use the breath too. And in the beginning, I literally, and I was like, a half hour is a long time for me. And I went to a couple of the 2-hour ones, and that's kind of beyond for me. But anyway, the walking was savior. I literally, at times, are going 1 elephant Mississippi, 2 elephant Mississippi, and I'm like, crap, I can't do that. That's cheating, because now you're thinking about you. Oh boy, it's just good to be here. I sat in front of my computer all day, and all of a sudden it was like I didn't take any real breaks, and I was like, should I go outside for a walk? Should I do this? And I'm glad I did this. This was the one of two choices, and it was the better choice. Thanks, John, for your talk.
there is no cheating, Teresa. It doesn't exist. If you think there's cheating, you're just creating
It's
your own
cracking up.
game.
I know.
It's like a pinball game that you're playing, or something like that you brought into the thing. There is no cheating.
It's just so amazing that I could have one thought and none. It's a gift, because I mean, especially when I was younger, I was all over the place, and it's just my 20,000 things. Even now, it takes practice, but it's just terrific to have one thought and none. I think it's great.
It's so interesting. We're so loyal to our thinking mind, to this I, with all of its thoughts, and its worries and its plans and its hopes and its fears. And really what this is about is jettisoning that.
Yeah.
And stepping out into open space, which we're going to do when we die. Unless we keep dreaming in death, and that's possible too. But you have this opportunity, I mean, we are in open space. This universe is infinite. There's no end to it. We all think we're going from point A to point B. It's ridiculous. There's no A or B. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to the Monty Python Galaxy song. I love it. I quote it a lot. It's Eric Idle. It's really funny. There's also a version with Stephen Hawking. He sings it. Eric Idle wrote it. The last verse goes something like, let me think. The universe itself keeps on expanding and expanding in all of the directions it can whiz. As fast as it can go, the speed of light, 12 million miles a minute, and that's the fastest speed there is. So remember when you're feeling very small and insecure, how amazingly unlikely is your birth, and hope that there's intelligent life somewhere out in space, because it's bugger all down here on Earth. I just love Eric Idle. 12 million miles a minute, 186,000 miles a second. And that's the fastest speed there is. It's just expanding all the time. Stephen Hawking sang it. He made a few corrections just in the numbers, but not in the essential concept. You can find it on YouTube. And it's terrific. The Galaxy song. Graham, you want to say it? You're muted. I'll unmute you. No, I can't. You have to unmute yourself. Click, do you want to talk? Then click the little red microphone down in the corner of your picture, your screen. It's a lead microphone with a line through it. Put your cursor on it and click it. It's not working? No, I can't do it for you because you've muted yourself. If I'd muted you, I could unmute
Can
you.
you write?
Huh?
Can you write your question into the chat?
You want to write a question into chat or make a comment in chat? Oh boy, we've got 5 chats already. Oh, well, I don't know why you can't unmute yourself. And I can't either. Something funny. Okay.
Wait.
There, you got it.
Okay. Ready?
Yes.
Well, it kind of destroyed the mood that I was in, which was kind of a somber, sad mood. I got an email from this elderly couple, and it turns out that their daughter passed away, and they're Jewish. I'm not Jewish, but they invited me to the what they call the Shiva, which was the ceremony where they welcome friends in to mourn with them. So I'm kind of combining that with what you said, and so it's like when someone dies, and that daughter, it's in her absence that I finally see her. So it seems like the same thing happens with in vipashyana. You die for a second, and in your absence, you finally see who you is. There's nothing there. That nothing is me. Me goes from very heavy to very light. Me has been enlightened. It's like dropping a weight rather than lifting one. It's a paradox. When it's absent, it becomes more vivid, more colorful, more alive.
Thank you.
That's it. Oh, okay, you're welcome. That's just what was going on.
It's like the intelligence is already here. It's this space, this room. this gong, this computer, this voice, this your voice, all these images. It's Buddha nature. And then I think, yeah, but do I really understand this? And I'm gone. I'm going into self-doubt, into a thought. You know? Yeah, but I wish, I'm looking forward to having dessert, whatever it might be. And we're gone. We're lost in a dream of some kind of pleasure and self-fulfillment. And then it evaporates and we're back here. This is the Vipassana. It's always here. It's always waiting for us. It's not even waiting for us. It's just here. Because it doesn't have that kind of intelligence of wanting to wait for something. It's the ground of what we are. It's the background, it's everything. It's everything except our dreaming, which is all full of anxiety and tension and takes us off into thoughts. And then the thoughts evaporate and here we are again. This is the Buddha nature. This is the Vipassana, which is the sort of the practice of tuning into Buddha nature. This is reality.
Mm.
And it gets more and more vivid as we learn better and better how to relax into it. And then it has all kinds of features that are described: absence of ego, absence of the true existence of anything, which they call emptiness or shunyata. The vividness and the meaningfulness of this phenomenal world, not meaning something like you could write a book about it, but everything is telling you what it is so powerfully. That's Mahamudra, great symbol. And beyond that, into the world of enlightened presence, which is full of just meaningfulness and symbol, and just the symbols are just representations. They're sort of like celebrations, like party hats.
Thanks.
And they talk about tremendous freedom. One of the things that develops, it's so ironic, is great bliss. There's a term, mahasukha, that comes along with tremendous understanding. When you begin to approach or even get enlightenment, realizing that I don't exist, nothing exists, true existence, they call it great bliss. And that great bliss is the absence of the struggle. It's freedom, tremendous freedom to live and play in this world with the beauty of it, to make love to it, to dance with it as appropriate.
Mm.
As appropriate. It's a constant act of communication and dance and lovemaking. And these aren't my words. They're coming from the teachings.
Hey, John,
Yeah,
speaking of that, can I share something?
please.
Here.
Wow. Where is this?
Yeah,
It's out my window.
I was just looking outside. It's so distracting. The sky is beautiful.
Isn't that
Beautiful.
nice?
Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
Yep.
Anyway, there you go. There's something else.
It's,
Look at the sky behind Joe.
Where? Oh, yeah. Look at that.
yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, this is the Manhattan skyline. I lowered my blind because it gets too much backlight, but there's a view out there. I'm sure if I went over and raised it, it'd be,
That's Manhattan, huh?
yeah.
I got Manhattan too. See down there? Can't quite see it yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if I aim towards
It's in the distance.
the other direction, it's really breathtaking. You see over the Hudson River to New Jersey.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah, I'm near the Hudson River. Not on the river, but close enough.
Yeah, I'm over by 11th Avenue.
Mm.
Oddly enough, it's dark here in Florida already.
No, it's beautiful. It's really nice right now.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Karen.
So all that you're saying about space, and of course these images are gorgeous, and what you're saying about space is very inviting and open. And I find that lately, with everything happening, I've been so keyed up that I'm aware that I'm resisting relaxing into the space because of how much agitation I will feel. And I'm wondering if you have any comments on how to address that situation where, I mean, I've kind of put my finger on the problem, but I'm not sure about the solution.
Thank you. That's perfect for bringing that up. The thing is that we're not trying for some ideal state. Whatever is arising in you can be the object of your awareness practice. And if it's agitation and anxiety, you see that. This is the practice of developing kindness for yourself. That you're not trying for some ideal state, you have to get rid of a particular way to be, which is very unkind. It's very demanding. But rather that we're developing a kind of kindness that allows us to be aware of whatever we are in the moment without rejecting.
I think I'm asking, how can I build up the courage to experience the agitation, which I know is there or will be there?
You just see it. Just start by seeing whatever is coming up in your mind. And if what's coming up in your mind is repression of the agitation, see that. With kindness for yourself, without blaming yourself for not doing something different. It starts with that fundamental compassion or kindness for yourself. All of our meditation, and this is such a difficult and important point in meditation practice for everybody. Whatever happens is fine. See that. Understand that. And by understand it, I don't mean figure it out. I mean, you just see it. Take it in.
Mm-hmm.
Really. And it's all fine. It's all fine. It's not a problem. It doesn't matter. If you feel you're oppressing something, see that. It's just a dream. Another dream. Another self-critical dream.
Yeah.
We have so many of them. And the thing about self-criticism is don't be critical about that.
Yeah.
Just see it. And that kind of kindness for yourself is so key. Meditation is about developing clear seeing and kindness, compassion. And it starts with us. This is what defeats the Gilgong, that king spirit. This king spirit says you shouldn't be having that kind of thought in your mind. You should be much more open. That's what the king spirit says. Whack, 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 and you just see it and let it go. Bullshit. King spirit.
It makes me think of the phrase, greeting them warmly. Like, whatever's there.
You can't make it too corny. We're so hard on ourselves. It's really hard to make it corny, this kindness. You can't take it too far because we are so brutal in the way we treat ourselves. And then if you treat yourself that way, that's the way you're going to treat other people too. So maitri and compassion starts here.
Thanks.
Good.
It's tough. This is our practice. Sometimes it helps to go out and help other people in the world too. That can bounce back and help you. We open our hearts. This is such a difficult time. Osa, FB, haven't heard from you. Tony, Leonard, Amelia, have anything to say?
John,
Yes,
hi.
Tony.
So I have another tradition in my life that says that if anyone else did to me what I do to myself, I'd have to seriously think about hurting them. Kind of a powerful statement. I remember a number of years ago, I came in, I sat down opposite Dan Hesse, who you probably would know as a teacher. And, you know, I was kind of new to the practice and I was wrapped very tightly, and I came and I sat opposite him, and I think I was just sort of twitching, not knowing what to do, and in expectation, as we often do with these things. And he leant forward and he said just 3 words to me, which changed my life and which I relate a lot to what you're talking about today. He said, "Let it be uncomfortable." And it was like it just flowed off me. I felt like I was carrying some big weight on my shoulders, and it flowed off, and it really, really helped me a lot. I think, as I've said before also, my boilerplate practice has been shamatha, and I really have, I've done some of the levels with the other things, and it's been really good for me to do the classes that I've done with you, and in particular tonight about vipashyana, because it's becoming increasingly obvious to me that, I've been sort of trapped in a shamatha practice for a very long time, which was helpful. And, I think there were moments of clarity. And here I think I'm dealing with gerbil mind rather than monkey mind. I think my mind is more attuned to the gerbil. So it's helped me in the same way as let it be uncomfortable. What you've given me this evening, you've given me the ability to be able to, I think, open up and move forward. So thank you.
Okay. You're welcome, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I'm picking my feet in Poughkeepsie, which is a line from the French Connection. You would remember Gene Hackman. So when you talked about Poughkeepsie this evening in some sort of, I don't think it was was it a disparaging way? I'm not sure. Maybe not.
Mm. Yeah. Well, folks, Leonard, is there anything we can do for you before we go? I don't know if you can hear. We're getting close to the end.
Well, I'm still new here, and so I'm just kind of just learning everything and just taking it all in. I mean, I don't know, I guess I would say I'm, trying to find, new things while this COVID thing, and I'm trying to find something that's going to be helpful, for me to focus and concentrate without focusing on this stuff going on. And truthfully, when I came in earlier, I came in late, of course, and it seems like just taking time to just focus and just think about stuff has actually very helpful for me. And I want to actually start learning how to do that more. To start pushing out the negative and start bringing in thinking of more positive things. And right now, I'm still learning things. So, thank you.
Thank you for coming. If there's anything we can
you.
do, I'd be happy to help you.
When's the next group? And how often do you meet?
We meet for meditation every morning. During the week at 8 o'clock for conversation, and then 8:15 we start practicing meditation.
Mm-hmm.
We have this kind of a meeting once a week on Monday nights. And also another class that you can plug into through the Westchester Buddhist Center. It's another group that meets tomorrow night.
Okay.
Leonard,
Is that on a separate page, or is that on the
that
also?
That's on the Westchester Buddhist Center webpage.
Okay.
It's called westchesterbuddhistcenter.org. Their webpage. And if you Google Westchester Buddhist Center, you'll come up with a list of all the things that's going on there. And there are more classes. This class meets every Monday night at 7 o'clock. And
Okay.
we're working our way through some readings. And if you want the readings, I just need your email address and I'll send them to you in a PDF.
Okay.
And by the way, everybody, what do I think we're on number 11? I think we only have one more reading in this group, and then I'm going to send out a new PDF if you want it. And if you do, give me your email in chat. And some people have already given me their emails in chat. Why? What am I supposed to do with them? I've forgotten. Somebody tell me.
Make a list.
I think you can save the chat, John.
I know I can. Yeah. I'm just wondering if I'm supposed to send anything out to those emails.
Yes, the syllabus for the last 12, for this 12.
That's right.
Do what?
The syllabus for this 12.
Okay. I'll send it to you, Teresa.
Leonard, where are you located?
I have it. Some other people don't.
I'm in Brooklyn, Bushwick Avenue, Bushwick in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Welcome.
Off Holden Street.
Welcome.
I'm on the L and J line.
Yeah, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. It's John Baker.
That's my name. Yep.
Okay, I'm sending you I'm sending it to you now.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
There are a bunch of other people here you might get to know if you come back. Joe Hepworth and Richard D'Amico and Tony Bright and Karen Schiff and all these people. Amelia Ura. Graham Hubble. I can't remember who Usab BF is. I asked before. I'm not sure she's actually here. And there's Tim. Well, folks, invite you all, let's see, I'll send out the syllabus again to everybody who sent me their email, just a PDF. And we'll send out the new syllabus to you in about a week. And if you can make a donation to New York Buddha Dharma, helps pay for the expenses we have, which aren't a lot, but there's some. We have a web designer and we have to pay Zoom and a couple of other things. And there's a donate button on the New York Buddha Dharma webpage. And what else? That's about it. There are more classes that you can participate in. They're on the Westchester Buddhist Center website. We teach another class
Okay.
tomorrow. And then there are classes that meet on Wednesday and also on Sunday. Classes meet on Wednesday and Sunday.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. All right, everybody. Well, let's close with the dedication of merit. This is where dedicating any benefit we've gotten here, not only to ourselves, but to all sentient beings. This is a good thing to do. There we go. By this merit, may all obtain omniscience. May it defeat the enemy wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of samsara, may I free all beings. By the confidence of the golden sun of the great east, may the lotus garden of the Rigdon's wisdom bloom. May the dark ignorance of sentient beings be dispelled. May all beings enjoy profound, brilliant glory. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Time for virtual snacks, right?
Yeah. We used to have snacks, right?
Virtual sake.
Thank you, everybody.
See ya.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Night.
Bye.
Night, everybody.
Bye.
All right.